All right, y'all, what's up? This is Sean Garcia from Revolutionary Fitness. This week we had tons of difficulties with our Meet the People's Trainer segment that we usually do over on our Instagram page, which if you haven't subscribed, or not rather, if you haven't followed, or what is it on Instagram? Friended.
Brandon?
Friended? I don't know. If you haven't followed us on our Instagram page, it's a new Instagram page for our academy. It's RedFit Education. So go ahead and definitely do that. And if you're watching on YouTube, of course, subscribe on YouTube to this new YouTube channel. We're trying to, for 2019, we're trying to revamp it and get the academy all over social media. So yeah, so this interview is a weekly segment conducted by a marketing director, Oscar Salazar. And each week we interview one of our different people's trainers from around the world as a way to highlight who they are, but also for them to talk about the uniqueness of Revolutionary Fitness, where they are located and how it is playing out, or they hope to have it play out in their region, so that you can get a better understanding of who we are and all the folks that make up our organization. So this week we were scheduled to be on IG. There's a bunch of technical issues, miscommunications on time zones, all that kind of stuff. All the fun stuff that goes into running an international organization. But finally, we were able to figure it out. And we're not doing this live streaming, unfortunately, but we're going to have it on our YouTube channel where it will live forever until YouTube decides to kick us off. But we're very excited to be joined this week by one of our trainers, Eric Canlas, who's based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about who Eric is and what the hell he's doing in Minnesota. No, I'm just kidding. I hear about all the great things happening in Minnesota and what we're going to be doing with RedFit out there. So Eric, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing well. Finally, we got this rolling. Got it going. So it's nice to speak and do this finally after, what is this setting? Maybe we'll try this.
Yeah, 2 hours later we figured it out. We got it. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, so Oscar has a set of questions that we have here. So we'll dive into Oscar's questions, and then if we want to go off topic, let's feel free to do that. We're usually slated for 30 minutes, but I know we've gone up to 45 minutes, so don't feel confined to the topic. You can do whatever you want to do. But let's just start it off really quick and talk about, a little bit about who you are, what's your background, how you got into fitness, all that good stuff.
So I think I got into movement. I've been moving since my sisters tell me since I was little. But I picked up team sports first, so soccer. And then that turned into running. I did a lot of cross country, track in high school, which then turned into capoeira in college, grad school, and then climbing after that. And I didn't really get into training or like fitnessy stuff. It wasn't on my radar, and I had it in my head for some reason that like training with weights was like beneficial. I was like, let's just go do things. But really, it was coming to St. Paul and meeting up with Ernie. He was like, we got to do kettlebell things. And so that's when I really feel like I stepped into more of a fitness type mindset. Otherwise, it was just running around, doing things, experiencing, which is all awesome and all good. But sort of a more systematic, an appreciation, I'll say, for the systematic. You got, different parameters that you're operating in. You have consistency, you have tracking, all the stuff that can be beneficial. And that really started when I met Ernie and kettlebells and introduced you guys. So yeah, that's
dope.
Encapsulation.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Ernie is one of our master trainers who's also based out in Minnesota. And that's how we were able to initially connect with Eric. Because, how else would we connect with anyone in Minnesota? But it's interesting because as you're laying out, like kind of your movement history, when I asked the question about like, your how you got into fitness, you were saying things like running and arts and climbing, and many people would hear those things and say that is fitness. So why do you make the distinctions? What you were saying more kind of like the systematic approach or like the weight training is more what you think of when you think of fitness. So maybe the question is better framed. How do you define fitness?
For me, okay, wow. So the experiences I had before, I think in my headspace, it was really kind of a perspective shift, right? What was primary kind of in those experiences for me was having fun. Certainly with the stuff when it was team sports, it was like win, have fun was in there, but it wasn't like an internal, what is my body doing? How is it feeling? What are the ways I can intentionally uh, uh, improve it or change it or change the adaptation. And that's where I think fitness, I guess for me, is that sort of, at least there was a distinction in that mindset. It became, oh, if I use this, this input device, this like kettlebell, is telling me about alignment, is telling me about structure, is telling me about breath. And not just how I use it to do a thing, but how do I use it to support this thing and myself. And so, yeah, I guess I don't know where I'm going with that, but that was kind of that distinction that I made. Like, again, with rock climbing, certainly the fitness part helped. Like we train, we have to get our tendons, stronger, muscles, all that stuff. But again, it was about the experience. It was getting up there, getting out in nature, things like that. But when I guess I turned more into fitness mindset when I was like, how can I now really, really intentionally change my body the way I want to? I don't know if I'm splitting hairs. It sounds like I'm splitting hairs now, but yeah,
No,
I guess that's where I live. If that makes sense, if any of that makes sense.
Yeah, what I'm getting from it is kind of like, so there's a little bit of a difference between sport and play and kind of like expressing yourself through that versus like having a systematized approach to getting certain performance benchmarks or internal kind of reflection that maybe you don't get when you're just playing a sport or having fun doing something. You might not be having that kind of same dialogue or intentionality of dialogue is kind of what I'm hearing. Maybe I'm putting words into your mouth, but
no, that perfectly sums up my ramblings.
all right. So then the next question we have here is, so like currently, it sounds like you have a vast experience of different kinds of training, but what are you currently into? Like what's currently your favorite form of training, or what's your movement practice look like right now?
Right now, I'm kind of going through this phase of just picking workouts and seeing what the psychology is behind them, if that makes sense. And just going through that experience of, okay, I have so many weeks to do a set number of things. So the one I'm doing right now is a version of, so there's a strength coach, Cal Dietz, out in the U of M, and he has this really cool triphasic training program that he uses with his athletes, resistance-based, strength-based, stuff like that. And there was a jump program that he was doing. And I don't have a lot of experience looking into it, just kind of like the articles he posts on Instagram, things like that. But they make reference to a thing they call the French contrast technique. And it's just pairing big, compound, power-producing movements with reactive plyometric movements to increase one's vertical leap. So it's things like a hang barbell clean. You do that once, I think at like 50% of your 1 rep max, and then you do like a set of bounds or like depth jumps or just something along those lines. And he says they get results like 4 inches increase like in a session, things like that. And I'm like, I believe it because it's a very specific training, but that's also for a very specific athlete who is young. They have a wealth of experience in that sort of environment. So my version of it, because I'm like, I want to jump again. I'm 35. I've been jumping less. Things have been feeling differently. My body's taking impact the way I'm not used to. Because when I was in high school, I would just jump around and it wouldn't matter because you're made of magic and rubber when you're a teenager. So what I'm doing now is I also am trying to work on kettlebell snatches. So sorry, it's quite a long answer. But I'm pairing kettlebell snatch progressions with the mace because I'm still learning the movement of the hang, clean, and jerk Olympic lift things that, again, I have no experience with, but I'm trying to learn. So I'm doing some sets of that and then doing eccentric drops off of a little block in my apartment. And I'm doing 6 sets of that, things like that. And I'm going to keep building that sort of daily practice. That and biking. Yeah, that and biking. That's my training regimen right now.
Nice. So getting into some of the more Olympic lifts, explosiveness, power training, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we have a little visitor that wants to say hi.
What's up, Kaya?
Say hi. I think he can hear you, but you can't hear him. So you just see him dancing around. That's good enough. There he goes. There he goes. There he goes. All right. Say bye-bye. See you soon. So yeah, some explosive training, some Olympic lifts with barbells and with your kettlebell, like your snatches and stuff like that. And then your biking, part of your regular daily practice, commuting kind of thing. Are you doing long distance biking or anything like that?
Right now it's a daily commute. But my goal is not so much distance, but I want to bike every single day in the winter here in Minnesota. That is my goal.
Yeah, that is definitely a task. And are you set? Are you like, have you been in the zone for that so far?
I'm set mentally, I think. I think my boundary is if it's raining, then I don't really have the gear for it right now. I don't have waterproof things that can just shed and dry off in time. So I'll probably.
Can you put into context what Minnesota winter might look like?
Oh, okay.
Who might be listening? Who don't know?
So the Minnesota winter. Yeah, in December it's not too bad, and by that I mean if it's 30, you're like, oh, I can go out in like a hoodie and I'll be fine. It'll get as low, especially in January and February. You won't see above -12 or negative or 0 or whatever for like months. For months, it's just -12, -20, and you're just like, okay, whatever. And that usually lasts until April. Like we had like 2 feet of snow like late April last year. It was horrific. That's winter.
Real brutal cold, snow. So it's hard to bike in, but you're gonna try to do it.
I'm gonna try to do it. I mean, but the biking scene here is quite robust, and I think they have a lot of the bike shops. They'll have like big fat tire bikes. They have all the equipment you could need, and I think they're pretty good about. I mean, it's Minnesota, so they're clearing the roads and stuff. Like they got that down pretty well because it's something to deal with all the time.
So, do you think there's any outside of just like a cool thing to say you've done in your life? Is there any performance reasons why one would benefit from training in that kind of cold or biking that kind of cold?
Oh, I think so, definitely. Performance-wise, you have all the benefits of cold weather, cold exposure that you get, like muscle recovery, things like that. But for the way I like to think about it as well is if I'm expanding, because a lot of people, it is very marked here in Minnesota because our summers get real hot, like 100 degrees, crazy humidity, and then they get really cold in the winter. And you'll see people walking around and they're comfortable really in only like 2% of that. Like the very, very like 30-degree zone where they're like, I got this. This is amazing. I feel good. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So like on a practical day-to-day level, if I can like kind of push the end of hot and humidity that I'm comfortable operating in and push the end of cold that I'm comfortable operating in on the day-to-day, then like the weather I'll be more one with the weather. Like it won't affect me quite as much. And sort of that day-to-day level, performance-wise, also, like it won't throw me. So it's part of that.
Yeah, for sure. So this it sounds like there's some mental fortitude that's developed in there, but also too, I feel like we have lost a lot of our climate acclimation because we're in such controlled environments these days. That the minute that the weather changes for whatever, and it changes more often than not now with global warming.
Oh my gosh, right?
But the more it changes, it's like the seasonal depression is higher, the inactivity, movement outside, not encouraging, moving outside, especially our kids, not encouraging them to go outside. So kind of challenging our comfort levels and trying to acclimate to different climates, I think definitely has some great rewards for us as a society.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get some of the steady state cardiovascular benefits from biking outside, from kind of getting your system to perform at a slightly higher, more alert level. It changes the mental focus. So like if you're at work, like writing lesson plans or whatever, grading papers, you go outside, you have to bike now. It's like, okay, you have that break in the brain function. So it just kind of helps refresh the system a lot.
Dope, cool. So let's move on then. So let's talk about, what is the people's trainer for you? Like, what does the people's trainer mean? Who are they? Why'd you get your certification as a people's trainer?
I'm thinking more that like the people's trainer now is like someone who can sort of see the structures in society and sort of how we're expected to function and sort of be, and learns how to navigate between that, if that makes sense. So it's like, yeah, people need fitness, is all this good like education and resources that can be available, but there's boundaries, there's things again in society, and in cultures that make that inaccessible to certain folks, and create not good environments for not what am I trying to say? The environments created aren't always conducive to engaging with fitness and movement in a productive, progressive sort of way. And it's our job.
Do you have any examples of that from your experiences or based where you live?
Based where I live, yeah.
Or something that you've gone through in life, maybe.
I think just the best example I can think of is I'm speaking to clients and people I work with, because I'm working with a Montessori school now, and I'm helping them establish a physical expression sort of curriculum and routine that they want to give for their kids. And when I speak to like my colleagues who are just amazing, informed, intelligent people, just some of the concepts that we're working on, it's so foreign to them, which is fine, but it's also indicative of here are these people who are in society doing it. They're soaking up culture, all that stuff. But the stuff we bring, our perspective on fitness, on politics, and all, it's still something they haven't grasped with. So I guess it's just not a conversation people are having. It's not a perspective. The intersectionality of politics and fitness and things like that, it's just not on anyone's radar as far as I can see, especially here in Minnesota. So it's, just sort of getting people to get their brains to see those details arranged in the way that we want them. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And so in that experience, trying to bring that RevFit orientation and message to folks, do you think folks are resistant? Are they attracted? Like, what do you think the responses are?
No, people are very, 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 very responsive to it so far. I give it. I mean, I don't know. I think it depends on how it's approached, and just the bits and pieces I've tossed into people. They're like, yeah, no, that makes sense. We should do that. Like, well, I'll talk to my friend about restoration, right? I'm like, no, like before we worry about running, before we worry about this or that, let's get your sleep schedule on. Get your rest first. Rejuvenation. This idea of rejuvenation is just people are like, no, what? I don't need to sleep. I'll just drink more coffee. I'm like, no, please don't do that. It's just everything. Yeah, people are on board. Because what we're talking about is sort of a systematic change. It's kind of an interrupt in the system, whether it's a big interrupt or like a small little take structures away that y'all have built up that are not helping you. They're not necessarily serving you. But the small ways I've been trying to interrupt this, interrupt that, they've been like, yeah, no, this is better. So yeah, there's definitely reception.
Nice, cool. All right, so who is Eric outside of fitness and wellness? What do you do? What's some side activities, some hobbies you have, some things that people might not know about you that they might be interested in learning?
I am a hobbit and an introvert usually. um, yeah, no, what I'm finding, and what St. Paul has taught me, and I should be very thankful for the city, because because it's not as big as New York, where you can kind of just lose yourself in the city, and public transportation is not great, so it's the excuses for going out for me now. Like I have to really, really want to go do something. As just in New York, where you're like, I'll just hop on the subway and I'll be fine. And you kind of just do your thing. But like I have to be really, really intentional again about who I spend my time with, what I want to do, and I'm finding that because St. Paul is it's so cold here, it's so very cold, and there's a lot less visual input than New York. I really like being cozy and staying in. It's amazing. um, but yeah,
What are you doing? Are you watching TV? Are you playing? Yeah. So what are you doing? What are you doing when you're home? Are you just
what
with
I'm doing
your
is
partner?
I'm building. No, this is why I say I'm a hobbit though. Building up the pantry for the winter, pickling vegetables, making bread, uh, pies are a thing I want to do soon. Roasting vegetables. We want to get into fermentation. It's always important for us to have a really good, well-stocked fridge. So when we have the chance to do that, it's good. I like growing veggies, growing herbs, things like that. I want to start growing bean sprouts, so like lentil beans, and sprout those things up. But yeah, I'm just a hobbit. I like growing things and reading
And are
books.
you doing? How are you growing? Are you doing it in your house? Is there a local garden or outdoor? How are you doing urban gardening? What kind of stuff are you doing? How are you growing?
Currently, it's all just in the apartment, just small things like herbs. We have a tomato plant that gave us a few tomatoes in the summer and then died because all happened and we moved and my wife and I got married and we got real busy and so the plants, didn't make it all. but we have a small like one that's sprouting now, so we're excited. But yeah, just we have like 3 or 4 plants, a couple herbs, but the plans are to, pickle things, um, ferment things and get on that jam as soon as we can.
Nice. So, and you're also a martial artist. You didn't talk much about that. What kind of stuff are you doing with that?
Right now, because I was training at the Minnesota Kali group, which was awesome, fantastic. Their instructors are really great, but I haven't had the opportunity to train there for a while, so I haven't been doing that. What I was doing
This
there was
Kali for people that don't know.
Kali, Filipino martial art. At the sort of I'll use the word lineage that I went through with is from Guru Dana Santo. So he is out in California. He's this genius, fantastic, amazing man. But he grew up and he was able to work with a lot of the immigrant Filipino farm workers who came over, and they often were very experienced in their family systems of arnis or eskrima or whatever system they were practicing back over in the Philippines. And he kind of took it, filtered it, put it together, rearranged it, and he came up with his system, which was very prevalent in the U.S. and it's a fantastic system. It's so good. Um, so yeah, I was doing Kali there, the Southeast Asian martial art of Salat, which came through Peter Kwong, who's up in MKG North, and he worked with Pahar Sawanda. And yeah, I was doing that for a while, and Panatukan, so the empty hand form of Kali, JKD, which is always fun, and a little bit of Thai boxing. But I haven't done that in a while. But thankfully, one of the guys who lives in this apartment building, he his name is Richard. He also does a lot of Chinese classical martial arts. So we'll get together, we'll jam out, he'll show me Chinese sword things, and it'll blow my mind. But that's more the type of training I've been doing lately. But I haven't, and I've done capoeira for about 7 years. So that's fun. And like the I guess this is going back to teaching with Montessori school, like the physical expression. It's just me taking the collie drills, capoeira drills, and just mashing them together and getting kids to move. So
Yeah.
in a
That sounds like
non-competitive
a lot of fun.
sports way, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we're coming into the end here, but the final
Sure.
question I got for you is, what is your maybe your 3 to 5 year vision, or how you see your work in revolutionary fitness playing out, maybe how revolutionary fitness could affect Minnesota more. How do you see that looking over the next period or so?
What I really want to do is, especially in the Montessori school, kind of establish a little base there. Because I actually was talking to my colleague the other day about just the pillars of RevFit. Because I gave a quick class at the school, and then I came back and I was washing dishes, and I was like, I could have done that differently. And so all this stuff kind of just came to me, and it was just touching on all the pillars, right? Plant nutrition, this and that, and actually the wellness and health program at the school is not as defined as it could be. So I want to work with her to help flesh that out at the school. I love the direction they're going with the physical expression. They don't want it to be team sports oriented, winners, losers, things like that. They want it to be physical expressions where kids can collaboratively work together. And so I'd like to build up both those programs in the school. Hopefully, if it goes well and we see the results we want, it'll be sort of a template or format that we could then bring to other schools, other Montessori schools and organizations. And on top of that, as we're getting that down, I also would like the kids to do more community outreach stuff. And so being like as a people's trainer on my own, but then also doing it with the kids and the staff there, going out to a bit more community centers. And yeah, I just also am having fun developing workshops. So I think it'd be a lot of fun. In addition to those things, also develop workshops and then just travel around and get trainers to train as best as we all can and work together.
Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to get out to Minnesota some more for some workshops, and of course get you in other places, get you out of Minnesota when we can.
Oh yeah.
So we got to figure that out. But yeah, get more folks to visit you, and I'm sure there's a bunch of health and fitness coaches out there who could benefit from going through curriculum developed by you and revolutionary fitness. So that'd be really exciting to see that happen. All right, cool. Sounds like great work. Very excited to have you on the team, making that contribution. And thanks for making time to come on with us today. I know it's been like a 3 hour adventure, but we got it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Any final words for folks who are viewing? Any final thoughts?
Just train. We're all in this together. Let's just work together, get better together.
Awesome. All right, Eric. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. All right.
Definitely.
All right. Peace.